Good evening, demons. How's everybody doing today? You having a good Wednesday? I hope so. Mine's been a little, but not like bad. So, I'm here, gonna do the stream, and I'd say we're gonna have a good time, but it might just be a sad time. So when I was first getting ready to do all of the Dandelion set games, I asked in the Studio Elan Discord server, I was like, hey, which is the most lighthearted of these, which is the funniest, because I want to do the funniest one first. And they're like, oh yeah, no, here's the scale, it goes from Yuri Paddle to Which You Want to Upwards Rain to the Wings on Wings Bringing Sleep. Oh jeez. Hope I don't have issues speaking today. Yeah, and the scale was from very funny to oh no. Now, did I... Let's see... Okay, so there is a content warning for this game. On the game page on itch.io, which is working again. No thanks to fucking Funko. All my homies hate Funko Pops. The following story contains implied domestic abuse, explicit violence, animal death, and toxic lesbianism. Reader discretion is advised, and do not try this at home. So, yeah, it's gonna be a little dark. A little bit. But I do appreciate what they've done with the menu screen here. All the books here in the back are the other Studio Elan titles. So here's Without a Voice, Highway Blossoms, Heart of the Woods, Twofold, National Park Girls, Please Be Happy, Yuri Paddle, Upwards Rain, Which You Want. There's three that are covered up here, and my first initial thought was, oh, maybe those are the three games that they've got still cooking right now, which is Love in a Bottle, Lock and Key, and Summer at the Edge of the Universe, which we did the demo for before we started the Dandelion set games. But yeah, I thought that was really neat. And I don't think this one has a title on it. If it does, I just can't see right now. But yeah, so this one is gonna be sad. Although, lately I've been really enjoying sad stories. And by lately, I mean like this year. One of my favorite manga, I think, ever that I've read is a very, very sad story called The Summer You Were There. Now, if you take a second to just think about that title, The Summer You Were There, you can already tell shit's going to be sad, and it was heartbreaking. But it was also really beautiful. I'm also reading one right now called My Wish is to Fall in Love Until You Die, which sounds fucked up, and it is fucked up, but not in the way that you're probably imagining. But it's also just a really sad story at its core, but it's really beautiful. I probably won't be picking any, like, really sad stuff in the near future. I have a crap load. I think I've got like 30-something visual novels in my Steam library. And not all of them are sad. I actually want to do twofold. This one here. Next, it has a prequel to it called First Snow, which I believe First Snow is free on Steam. But yeah, there's... but yeah, so I want to do that one next, and as far as I know, it's not, like, sad. It's, you know, it takes place in, like, a largely realistic, modern-day kind of setting, as far as I understand. And is, you know, relationship drama and stuff, but it's not, like, you know, sad. After that, next year, because, you know, we're real close to the end of the year now, it's December 11th. Hot damn. If I can work up the nerve for it, there's one that I really want to do on stream that I've read before. I've gotten all the endings for it, even. And that is Heart of the Woods here. We'll see. Because that one did what nothing else has done, and that actually, like, brought me to tears. But for now, let's see how much pain we inflict on ourselves with On Wings Bringing Sleep. Oh, it even has the warning here. Good. The following story contains implied domestic abuse, explicit violence, animal death, and toxic lesbianism. Which, I'm sorry, I see toxic lesbianism and I can't not laugh. I know it's a serious topic, but it's like, Okay, yeah. So, duly warned twice now. Here we go. Oh, reader discretion is advised. Do not try this at home. In a sense, you're fortunate. One loss that you will never feel slip through your grasp is what it was to be God's. Of course, that title was given to us by those who didn't understand. The folk have never had deities of their own. Those condemned to such short lives, perhaps, can only view any who live longer than them as abominations. But when humanity first came to this land, they saw what we were and knelt, and in their awe they prayed to remain insignificant to our eyes. Not a night went by that was not spent in revelry, and changelings danced among us, nearly as numerous as ourselves, and we stretched from the ice and whispering winds of the north, between the oceans of east and o'er-precious mountains of west, to the depths of this forest, and magic was all that enthralled us. Should we have thought that time would end, we whose natural lives have always been eternal? It may yet have gone on forever, had one of our own been less foolish. A human trickster, their name long forgotten, took one of the folk for a lover and betrayed them. With stolen magic, the trickster forged the iron weapons that proved fatal to our kind, and humanity climbed up from its knees with a ruler of their own. Our weakening was meted out in lines they called borders, desolation they called progress. A small human hovel in the north grew into their royalty's snarling gullet, and they ate outwards through the land as they gained more and more influence so quickly. Our weakening... Oh, sorry. I went to the top again. We lost our ice, our ocean, our mountains. What remains of us here in this wood where every breath of magic is a fight to not be its last? We would weep to lower our heads and proclaim this is the age of humanity, but it is certainly no longer an age of the folk. Humanity sprawls its seat further than can be pushed back, and now we suffer. It did not have to be this way. It was humanity that stole everything from you and I. You must remember that. On wings bringing sleep. The wood is withered. I feel it around me like the arms of someone who once loved me. I do. But whatever it is now, this isn't what was told to me in song. I may be a child to those who saw themselves as gods, but I do pay attention. Even this close to midsummer, the green of the trees is just green. Even Mother says to me that it's getting worse, so I know that all the folk of the woods see it. Oh, that is a autoplay. Maybe that's why my magic refuses to bloom. Why should a child born to the decline of the folk have the same sort of powers her mother does? There will never be a future where I lead them like she does. It's too crowded in the lungs, too frantic. Everyone is worrying that the wood is dying, all while they still prepare for midsummer. A revel at the end of the world. It makes folks act oddly. The way you shed everything you are to feel true escape just for a moment. Of course, that's only possible if you can somehow forget that you have to come back to the real you, and she's the one who will be different forever after what you've done. Do humans sense it? I can breathe easier out here. Just the birds in the trees and me, closer to whatever fine blade of grass is the definitive border. That's another thing the wood folk don't talk about, and I'm not bringing it up with Mother. But there are humans who venture near these parts. A woodcarver who makes sure to only take from dead trees, exceptionally brave children from the nearest human settlement, a day's walk to the west, a nomad family of hunters who lay their traps. Is it strange that they're my favorites? I've grown the most familiar with them. A mother and her two sons, always setting their snares at dawn and returning to collect their rabbits and squirrels before nightfall. They're always together. I know Mother wouldn't approve of my interest. It certainly isn't that she fears humans, but she still counts her losses to them. One more thing about me she wouldn't understand. Maybe that's it. Without magic, I might as well be a human. I didn't expect there to be, any voicing, let alone singing. Or humming, I guess. Singing? Yeah, there you go. It's barely past dawn, and that's no song of the folk. Let's try that again. A human. I think a new one. Her voice fell flat of that high note, and she just tried the melody again. How did she manage to make it sound so natural? This feels like a dream, letting some strange melody lead my way. I don't want to interrupt her. A girl. She's singing to the bird perched on that branch like we would. Oh, but her other hand. She took 2 eggs right from the nest and into her pocket. It's clever enough that she must have tried this before. All right, at least that's breakfast taken care of. Mother would just observe. Well, Mother wouldn't have followed a mystery song through the wood at all. That song was lovely. Who goes there? She jumps at my arrival. How do I appear to her? Her gaze is lingering on... my ears. You're... Faye. Hello. You mustn't be from these parts. Well, I appreciate the compliment. The song's just a lullaby. My sister sang it to me when we were little. And you're not quite right about me not being from around here. You could better say I'm kept under close watch. Yet you're sneaking out to hunt for your breakfast and risking being caught by a folk of the wood? But singing like that, perhaps you were hoping to be caught? How are you so certain that you caught me? No, it's my fault. It takes 2 to meet too close to the boundary. Letting you go for today is the right thing to do. Only for today? Oh, such mercy. I'd ought to run along before you change your mind. Or will you also be passing through tomorrow? Tomorrow? That would be something different from whatever this is. I could try to find this grove again. I do believe that I could as well. Well, my sister will throw a fit if I make her wait on breakfast, but I'll look forward to tomorrow? Ah, that's right. Humans have a superstition that if one of the folk gives you our name first, we can hold no power over you. I'm Morgaine. Morgaine, I feel like that suits you. I'm very glad to have met you. My name is Ilsa. I can't help but hum that lullaby, she said. The folk don't have to sleep as much as humans. I've never thought about a song I would want to fall asleep to. And I have something to look forward to now. Ilsa and I talked for barely 2 minutes, but this is the most I've wanted to do something in ages. Speaking of things I need to do, let's see, some chamomile and some gardenia. Oh, and lavender. Perfect. It should be strong enough to mask any of Ilsa's scent got on me. Yeah, lavender do be pungent. I don't think I could pass her off for a changeling, especially since the only one I'd have talked to is... Forget her. More folk about this morning than usual. Must be revel preparations. I don't bother waving to anyone anymore. Sure, there are more new faces now that the last of the mountain folk have merged with us, but even the ones I've known all my life, it's obvious how they see me. Late bloomer, undoubt. Can she really be Mab's daughter? Oh god, her mom is Queen Mab. Oh no. Believe me, I'd have it some other way too. Oh dang, her mom even got horns. Hell yeah. Mother and I live on the outskirts of the lungs. For how much time I spend trying to escape it, you'd think there were shackles keeping Mother chained inside. Sometimes she'll go months speaking to nobody but me if nothing requiring her leadership comes up. I take a moment to breathe in the old wood. The Morgaine who spends her days roaming the wood, spying on humans. She's left out there beneath the trees. She's not the one who enters this cottage. I like to think she's the real me. I wish it were larger in here. I can't hide anywhere, not even from the walls. They're all painted with the stories of old, from when all this land was our heaven. Mother is there, but the portrait isn't really her. She's so minimal, just dark horns and judgment among all the revels and hunts, violence and creation. I've always felt a revolting fascination with them, like the first time I opened up a dead animal for a spell. Power that my role is to never dream of. Good morning, Mother. Ivy would have been preferable to gardenias, but you can fetch that later. You know where to put the flowers. Can I help prepare anything for the solstice? I suppose there are more wreaths that need to be woven. Ah yes, wreaths. Wreaths that she'll do all the magic with, mind you. I can weave some of the finest wreaths in the wood for how many years I've spent only making them. Morning glory, barberry, watercress, the bowl of rabbit's blood beside them. Memory puppets my blood-stained fingers. Good enough. Remember that you were born to a purpose, Morgaine. Here we go, as always. We are the Witch Kings. We are the Guardians. We keep the magic, and with it the only order in this world that can be hoped for. And what would she do if she knew I met a human in the wood just an hour before? That Ilsa wasn't afraid of me? That she threatened none of our kind? That she was warm and beautiful, and all she asked of me was whether we could meet again. I understand, Mother. I'm sorry, Morgaine, but you don't. Not until you play your own part. I need to gather more ivy. It looks like we need more magnolia as well. She doesn't need to know I crushed the last. She doesn't need to know I crushed the last of it under my boot. You know what you're doing, I hope? Those blackbirds are out again today. Is it strange that I hope they don't wind up anyone's dinner? Let's see. Which way did I walk yesterday? I think it was to the west, and then a bit north. She's really here. I almost want to sing the next line with her. But what's that hanging from her belt? It looks like a knife? Which could be for anything. She was hunting yesterday, wasn't she? Still, I don't see any blood on her. And the real thing she'd need to protect herself from in the wood is... Morgaine, are you there? You heard me coming? I'm not certain that heard is the best word. I felt something yesterday, and just now, right before you appeared, your fae probably don't even register it. But it's like the whole forest pulling a touch closer around me. So, yesterday too, then? I'd be lying if I said there was no shudder. Can I confess something? When I felt it, with the stories I've heard about those trees, I did wonder. Hope, even. So, the singing? Well, don't start thinking too highly of yourself. The girl does need to eat, too. No need to just stand there. We both found our way back, didn't we? She doesn't even seem fazed by how close we're sitting. It's like she doesn't have a care in the world. Must be nice. Oh, no, I need to say something. This is only the second time we've met. How much do we actually have to talk about? Did you, find any more breakfast today? Really? Breakfast? What am I even saying? But she's laughing. It's musical. Like she can take her amusement and bend it into something beautiful. No unlucky birds today, sadly. Maybe they got smarter. Maybe. I did find these, though. She's woven some wildflowers up her arm in the same way that I do. I thought that I might bring some back for my sister and myself. Is she the sort who wears flowers in her hair? No, I can't quite picture that. Which is why I want to see it. She wouldn't say no. It's the least that she owes me. She smiles with her teeth. Her hands keep going in and out of her dress's pockets while she talks. She feels realer than she did yesterday. I've made a lot of wreaths out of flowers like those, you know. The gardens we have are beautiful, so I've heard. The drawings of some of your flowers that I've seen. The paths change every day, even as you walk. The air brushes your cheek like it's been longing for your return. It's tempting just to linger at the entrance, but you wonder, what's in bloom? Even flowers you would grow on your windowsill feel different. Golden. Magic. It seems more fantastic than I can imagine. The whole garden is really at your command? Oh, the garden! Is that where you keep your menageries of fearsome beasts? Fearsome beasts? I've read about them too. Twin-tailed black cats who trick human travelers into games of finger bones on your behalf. Or serpents who grant understanding of their language with a bite. Well, some of us do have familiars? You make them sound far more fantastic, though. Oh. She's so earnest. I feel guilty being the bearer of bad news. It makes sense that human accounts have blown things out of proportion, though. What would help her understand? Or I can try showing her. It won't be the real thing, but when we tend to them, it's sort of like... What am I thinking? I'm about to make a fool out of myself. Because how many times have I dug a hole into the earth like right now? Have I placed bits of plant inside and covered it back up? Breathed in with my hands over the plot? When did Ilsa lean closer? What does she see? Some one-trick gardener? Or one of the Fae? So many different flowers bloom within this grove. I have to focus on just the one. Huh. It's a magnolia petal. But I've never thought of it like this before. I see it in my mind, but it's part of the soil now, too. And that soil is part of this grove, with every dewdrop on every blade of grass, and the wildflowers Ilsa picked, and the roots going up into the trees, and I'm not me at all. I'm one of those blackbirds in the sky looking down, the only other creatures in the world who know about us. We bleed into the grove. There's color again. The wood knows me, and it knows Ilsa, and it's singing her lullaby. The soil is trembling beneath my fingers. I unclasp them, and I hope Ilsa thinks their shaking is normal. As I raise my palms upwards, the blossoming magnolias are coaxed from the earth, straining for the sky of my magic. It's so easy. I turn back to Ilsa, and I know it. It's her. It's her. Until I met this strange human girl, despite 1,000 tries, I could never do this. I pluck the magnolia from the earth. Keep it. You made it. White isn't my color, anyhow. It's not much. Whole gardens are still out of my reach. These are more manageable. I pluck up a stalk of Ilsa's wildflowers, braiding my magnolias through the smaller blooms. I don't even have to think about what my fingers do. I barely have to look away from Ilsa as I braid another wreath. Some skill for one of the fabled folk, isn't it? Could you humor me? Would you mind turning around? Oh. Maybe I should have kept to just one flower. Making a whole patch grow in a matter of seconds was a bit much. She takes the wreath from me, and then I feel her hand on the back of my neck, pushing my braid over my shoulder. The cold prick of her fingertip somehow feels like a sunburn on my skin. She can see my left ear fully now, my base nature laid bare. There's some small breeze blowing just between us. It's Ilsa breathing me in. Her fingertips trace higher to the nape of my neck. My dove, my swan, you've been gone for so long. How many tears more must I shed for your song? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. You tensed up. It's fine. You can keep singing. The lullaby, right? Right. Her own hands are getting more confident, and her voice... You left me with naught but a smile and passed on. This poor crow can't fly from the memory of your arms. Yet I know what skies you've soared onto from me. No pale beauty feather is stirred by my pleas. I bared you my heart, and I'll see yours bared too, if holding it is the last thing I'll ever do. Her hair is nothing like mine. How would it feel to run my fingers through hers like this? Let's try something else. Who taught you this? Your mother? I taught myself. Too much time on my hands, my sister always says. That should do it. Bring it back over your shoulder. I wish I had a mirror to show you properly. The wildflowers, she's woven them all through my braid and crowned me with the wreath. They smell soft, sweet. Thank you. I thought you said that song was a lullaby. It seems a bit what? Dark is all. At the end, it seems more like the singer is laying claim to their beloved rather than pursuing their love as equals. Now that you mention it, I suppose so. I've known it for so long, but I never gave it much thought. Although knowing my sister, it might well be some murder ballad that just happened to put me to sleep one night. It's the sort of thing she sings in a good mood. Who really thinks about the stories we tell children until someone points out their flaws? Stories. There's the one Mother has told me so many times I've memorized where she pauses to breathe. But all that happened centuries ago. Things get lost in memory, don't they? Let me return the favor somehow. Our midsummer revel is almost here. Maybe next time I could teach you some of our songs? Maybe next time. Listen to me. Assuming the whole future without even thinking. I look forward to it. I have little else to celebrate. For just a moment there, something slipped through. I know what kind of sadness that was. The revel. If I could make a glamour, could sharpen the tips of her ears, she could dance to our music, be the queen of the festivities. And when she's caught, how horribly will that end? This grove is what we have. This grove is enough. I pick up the second wreath to straighten it on Ilse's brow. Wear this next time too, so that one thing of ours can match. You keep saying next time. Even yesterday you agreed so readily. You really want to know that much about me? You're new, unlike anything else. Well, I suppose you do have me there. I should go. My sister and I live alone, and she worries if I'm gone for too long. Of course, we wouldn't want that. Tomorrow, though? Tomorrow. Two young human women living alone, this close to the folk forest? Fearlessness must run in the family. And who knows about young either? That sister of hers sounds more like a mother. if she was singing Ilsa to sleep as a baby. Just what in the name of the tallest mountain was that, Morgaine? Who? Dahlia? Oh, she got busted. So this is where you've been wandering further and further off to. Gathering for Mab, surely? What does Mother have to do with this? Really, Morgaine? I'm trying to give you an excuse here, because to me, it looks like you... Why do you care what it looks like I'm doing? I thought that wasn't how you felt. I think it matters for all of us if you were beguiling a human. That's not... I don't have to explain myself to you. You're a changeling. How is it any different? You and I both know perfectly well the difference between me and a human. Did her family leave her at a boundary? Has she met the changed part of the process? That's what I thought. No, it's not, because nobody is being beguiled. She's just a girl from the wood who happens to be a human. And it doesn't matter if she knows who I am, because she's the first one who doesn't care. Do you really mean that, Morgaine? No. Now how about for once you answer my question? Did you follow me? Yes. Why? Needing to make sure I haven't gotten on too alright without you? This would be easier if she wasn't still gorgeous as ever. You could throw Dahlia off a cliff and she'd splatter prettily. Oh, that'd be perfect, wouldn't it? Little Miss Perfect raising her hand to the sad, broken daughter of the Witch King. Except she's tracing my jaw as she pulls me closer. Her lips brush the ridge of my cheek. Well, have you? I still remember how to hold her. Her lips close in on mine. What? The magnolias I grew that weren't woven into Ilsa's and my crowns are right at my feet. I don't think anything. The girl like I loved like a spark loves dry wood is kissing me again. They shoot upwards. Ow! My ankle! She breaks apart from me. Stops. Tears her foot out from the magnolia stalks that wrapped up around it. Morgaine, what are... Oh. You're all over them. Did you... use magic? Does Mab know? Why do you care what goes on between me and Mother? Morgaine, if you did, that changes things. You're not being fair. And you're only honest when it suits you. How does it feel being on the other end? No, she doesn't get to ruin this for me. If she tries to follow me again, I'll what? I didn't even mean for that thing with the flowers to happen. And I don't want to hurt her. Not really. She's the one who makes having a simple conversation impossible, though. I've always barely been able to keep up with her. That's why it's for the better that she ended things, no matter how much it hurt back then. Whatever impression she got of Ilsa too, she's wrong. I'm not... That is to say... I know what falling in love feels like. Dahlia's the one to thank for that. And I did kiss her back just now. But it doesn't change that the first time I've ever been able to use magic was is when I was with Ilsa. Yes, that's what I need right now. While I feel this out. A friend. Someone who isn't judging me, who has no motives of her own. Just a friend. Morgane! We're meeting even earlier today. It's not yet dawn. I suppose neither of us could wait. I would worry how Ilsa found her way through the wood in the dark, but there's a candle lit inside the glass lantern she's holding. She looks tired, tense. She wasn't using her right hand to hold things yesterday. Where did those blisters on her palm come from? Did I not mention it? Did I say that out loud? Oh, you don't need to hide it. I just... Well, now's as good a time as any. My sister is a craftswoman. It's only right that I help her with whatever she needs. Would you humor me? How far exactly is your home from here? It just troubles me how far you've been walking. Would you like me to show you? In the name of allaying your fears? We're traveling further north like I suspected, but not towards that human village. I don't think any of the folk would have walked this part of the woods since Mother's youth. And Ilsa, she keeps looking back over her shoulder at me. Like she can't believe I'm following her. Is my being here helping her nerves? Or causing them? I don't know what else I expected. It's a proper house. No thatched-together cabin with logs still groaning from being cut down. How long did you say your family has lived here? Oh, the cottage? I don't know, to be perfectly honest. My sister couldn't live in the capital anymore. She took me with her and followed the river south until she found... Well, we aren't the praying sorts, but it was a certain stroke of luck, wouldn't you say? So it's always just been the two of you? For all your life? Ilsa, are you out there? Ooh, Kriemhilde. I can't see her, but it's no mystery who that must be. Something feels... wrong. I crumple a fistful of ague in my pocket and lay my palm on the nearest tree. I've seen plenty of folk do this spell before, and it feels like growing the flowers did yesterday. Bloom. Hide. It's like the bark of the trunk grows around my hand, a slew of hot wax that scrapes rather than burns. My skin models the same color as the wood, patches of moss laying their claims up my arm until all of me that's visible is dusky green. Go, Ilsa. It's fine. Why is she looking at me like... Oh no. This isn't the magic I used to grow those flowers. This is... I'm... the reason humans cut down trees before they lay claim to the forest. The story that keeps children from wandering from their beds. The monster tapping my fingers at her window. Ilsa? Elizabeth! Do something, Ilsa. Say anything. I promise it's still me. Kriemhilde, I'm right here. Ilsa? Did you go into the woods? Ilsa, I swear, I don't want to talk about this again. The sun's barely even up. It's alright, let's just go inside. Creamhild, it's nothing. That's right. That's all you can say. Nothing. Nothing. I'm nothing. Should I have a sense to stay away? If Creamhild suspects something, we both need to be cautious. But I was cautious this morning when I used the camouflage magic. Look what Ilsa thought of that. Alright. Left arm, right arm. Everything back to what Ilsa sees. And as for what's in the bag around my waist, well, Mother might see what I stole and realize what magic they work together. Maybe she'll be proud. I've got to go back to that cottage. She won't come to me. I've recognized how she talked to that sister of hers. Sister, mother, seems either way, I thought right. It somehow looks smaller at night. Which room is Ilsa's? It's the last thing I need. Her sister waking up to see me outside her window. Oh, up there on the loft on the second floor. That's the candle from Ilsa's lantern this morning. Did she light it for... She's even left it open. And there she is, brushing out her hair for the night. Her arms... I hear how she breathes in every time she raises them. They're stiff. She's hurting. Something isn't right in this house. But then, I already know that. Ilsa? What do you want? I've never seen her like this. She turned around so quickly, but she looks like she hates me. Like the doe at the end of the wild hunt. I've only seen her teeth when she smiles. Never her fangs. And her nightgown isn't like the clothes I've met her in. I can see more of her. Her chest, her shoulders, they're all bruised. Like ugly eclipses all over the peach of her skin. It's the height of summer. I've always met her when any human should have sweat salting their scalp, with her neckline buttoned up to her throat and the cuffs at her wrists. Oh, they've always been there. Who hurt you? Who? Oh, why didn't you tell me? Morgaine? Tell you what? You're not a fool, Ilsa, and I'm not either. You shouldn't have come back. I think those bruises are exactly why I should have. You don't understand nearly as much as you think that you do. Ilsa, if I did anything that upset you, I truly am sorry. That wasn't my intent. No, Morgaine, it's not... I'm not angry with you. It's myself. How I acted earlier. I don't know why I thought leading you here was a good idea, and then Kriemhild was there, and I've never had a friend. Not truly. And I realized that's what you are to me, Morgaine. I just hadn't let myself think that way until we were right there at the doorstep, and it wasn't perfect. Not the way I thought it would be. Friend. She does feel this bond too, then. It's real. So why does that word feel like shadows on a summer day? I want to help you, Ilsa. No matter how little an escape I can offer, I don't know where yet. Past the grove, maybe there's our revel, but you can't understand the kindness you've shown me. It's all that feels right to offer you. For your friendship. Thank you, Morgaine. Why do I feel like you know so much more about me now than I do you? Necessary caution? When you were a stranger, at least? Don't you see, though? I can't explain my world in words. This is the best answer I can give you. Surely a night stolen into the Folkwood is better than how I exist here. What have I done for you to slip through my window with the night and save me from existence? Please don't think of me that way. As a girl who's only wounded, only ever falling, who's never wondered where the bravery to save herself lies. She only held my face in her hands for a moment, but is there some magic that preserves the ghost of a touch? Tomorrow, then? Tomorrow. Good night, Morgaine. Let's see. I think I got away cleanly. Mother shouldn't notice me taking from her storage if I supplement from the gardens. I should have guessed food would be heavier to carry, though. Oh, hello again. Just you today, little blackbird? I wouldn't trust anything if my ex was a fucking shapeshifter. Just saying. Well, I suppose you know where I'm off to. Why haven't you flown on with the rest of your flock, though? What makes a bird decide somewhere is the place to remain? Ah, careful where you're flying, little bird. You nearly made me drop my bag of tricks. You really are my escort, then. Maybe I should call you something nicer than little bird. Morgaine, I know you're there. What gave it away this time? It was different. She steps closer to me and takes my hands in hers with a swipe of her thumb over my knuckles. That's a standard human greeting, right? No. Y'all both gay. It was a scent today. I don't even know if it's yours alone, but I felt like every tree in the forest had suddenly gone into full bloom. All that lightness and lush was wrapping around me, upping the Fey dramatics, are you? I wasn't trying to. Never mind it, for now. Oh, your hair. What about it? The flowers. You didn't have to keep them there for me, you know. No? Did they look wrong? I tried to enchant them so that they wouldn't wilt. Well, today I thought, with everything you said last night, I thought I would try to make myself more at home here. She's brought a blanket to spread over the grass, the quilt from her bed, even even sitting at ease here or last night, she looks regal. I don't think she could slouch her shoulders if she tried. About that, I had an idea. We always prepare so much food for the Midsummer Revel. Nobody is going to miss a little amount of it. If you'd like to try it, that is. Let's see, fruits I picked from the garden, honey milk, sweet cakes, some birds simmered in that saffron sauce I like. I can't predict everything there will be, but Staples seem a safe place to start. Too many flippin' S's, man. She's hesitating, though, even over something as basic as bread. Is her hand shaking? I'm sorry. It all looks delicious, don't misunderstand, but how could I have forgotten? She's likely spent her whole life being told any food of the folk will turn to ash in her mouth, if not worse. If I may, take these berries. We eat them just before the sun begins to set. They wake you up to the wood. That's what the revel really is. The one time of year when all the old magic can be felt. You can start with just one. They're small enough to come right off the vine and sweet without any sugar. I've been trying so hard to make her feel safe. What if she simply can't manage this, though? Maybe if I'll pretend it's my first time as well. The next berry that I reach for, it's slower, less certain of where to pinch my fingers and sever fruit from stalk. It takes another moment, but Ilsa starts to mirror me. She mangles her a bit, some pulp sticking to her fingers. When she eats it, she almost seems self-conscious, ducking her head down and eating in a hurry before the juices can drip further down her wrist. A few dark droplets make it to her skirt, but no matter. No going back now. Do you feel something? You're right, it's sweet. Oh. Oh my. This is how you all live? Constantly? If it's too much, we can stop. No. It's so much. Everything you've said about the forest, I'm feeling it now. I taste it. What else is there? Try this then. The cakes lighten your feet for dancing. Here, I'll break it in half. Whatever you eat, I match you. That way it stays fair. How long do the effects last? They're meant to carry you through the festivities. Don't believe anyone who claims that you need to double up. I once saw a girl who couldn't set her feet on the ground for a week after eating too many of these. She eats this one so urgently, too. Grimhild doesn't... A sister wouldn't. Would she? I don't want to ask. Not in this moment. Not when she's laughing. It's the berries, I know. She falls back onto the quilt, her eyes shut in bliss. There's no force at all to her laughter. I don't want to help her up until she lets it all out. Why, Morgane, you gentlewoman. I couldn't leave you to any grass stains. Morgane, oh my god. They're flirting so hard. And they're both so tense. Would you like to dance? And before I know it, we're pulling each other around the grove, clasping hands and spinning until our vision loses direction, twirling beneath each other's arms, weaving, hopping steps towards each other like dewdrops on a spider's web. I feel carefree. Maybe the first time I can ever remember. Goodness, you weren't exaggerating. I'm absolutely parched. What's in that water skin at your belt? I'm not certain you want to try wine right now. Wine? I'll admit I've never been, inebriated before, but that's not it. It's... well, our wine makes you honest. Honest. So if we both drink a truth for a truth, whatever either of us wishes to know. Alright. First question that comes to mind. No regretting it, whatever the answer. There's not much more in here than for each of us to have a sip anyhow. I'd forgotten how heady it is. It also downs it quickly, although I don't think it's from practice. Oh, that's not quite what I expected. I think it's meant to taste better the more that you drink. Go on then. Have you ever... Are you not afraid of me? It's a simple answer. Of course not. Of course not. The words don't come. And for that to be the case... No, I can't be afraid. Was it the fight with Dahlia? Yes, that has to be it. That just shook me. Not that either? Then what? I know I'm taking too long to say something again. Elsa has to see it. The betrayal of magic. What if there's no version of the truth that I can give her? That's all right. I haven't been certain myself recently. Don't doubt yourself. Don't let anyone make you. You're not a monster for claiming whatever you can from the world, even if it's not what you might have expected. I didn't hear a question in that, Morgane. Can you tell me a story about the old times? Don't alter it for my sake. Tell me about my people, exactly the way you've heard it. Okay. Once upon a time, the people of Vildegrun answered to gods, and the gods were hungry. Prayers were left to be ignored, a prize cow butchered on the doorstep, bowls of milk swirled pink with blood. Desperate families offered up their unwanted children, chaining them to the ground when they rejected their purpose. All agreed that to be changed was the kinder fate. If the gods returned them to you, whether they still breathed was inconsequential. Children wept to walk their tattered feet across hard ground. Parents could no longer meet the eye of any within their family. Lovers would scream at the touch of your hand. Into such a genealogy was born Ike the Diligent. She lost her sister to a beguiling spring, only finding what bones of hers washed down the river from the hunting ground of the gods. Her father went to bed one night a man, and she found him the next morning as a mass of flesh still bound to his killing tree. And then one day her lover returned to their home like a lost ghost. She swore that her people would bear no more. Ike's family came from low means, but her lover was a merchant who had traveled far and wide and had gifted her upon their engagement a dagger of foreign metal. Armed with all that remained of her love, Ike ventured into the woods and waited. Some say she brewed a solution to counter anything the gods bade her ingest. Some that she cut open her own veins and bled into the earth, knowing what thirsts it would draw. Others that she simply stripped naked and waited to be found. Perhaps all three, perhaps something else entirely. When Ike awoke in the morning, her mind remained her own, as much her lover's dagger buried within the breast of the dead fae at her side. Ike returned from the hunting ground upon the next full moon. Her lover's blade once more fell true, and this time granted Ike a gift greater than vengeance, a vision of what she must do. She spread her tale from village to village, and with the knowledge that the gods could be brought low. And when she slew the Fey Lord who had stalked the boundaries of her family's home until it held only her, she carved her declaration of war from his chest and left him to be found. Human settlements, once isolated and penned like cattle, banded together. A capital of our own rose in the north. What became of Ike as the new balance was weighed as our tale's only mystery. She was last seen leading the charge against the Fae's own horned queen, their greatest and most terrible commander. A hero such as Ike would certainly have been proud to sacrifice herself for her people's triumph, and indeed the end of that battle marked the drawing of the boundary pact that keeps the Fae at bay even now. Yet some claim that with her family avenged and their hunters humbled, Ike returned to anonymity. They claim she may very well have lived out the remainder of her days in a once impossible dream, free from terror. Do you see why I asked what I did? Centuries have turned wounds into scars, yes, but you still took so much from us. And we, I suppose, ended anyone's right to divinity. Hearing the story like this, I never wondered if the Faithbreaker had a name. And the Horned Queen could have only been Mother. She's always told me that humans don't comprehend time how we do. I wouldn't think that was all history from centuries ago, though. Not hearing how Ilsa spoke of it. So now you know. All that I ignore every time I do this. You. Suddenly everything I can think of to say sounds like it will just prove her right about the folk. That we didn't want a war of absolutes. That she has no way of knowing her version is what really happened. What response won't lose her forever? I can't think of one before she suddenly grabs for a plum still lying on the quilt, biting into it fiercely enough for the dark juice to spray across her lips. Why should it fall to the two of us to right every wrong? And before I can let myself think twice, I cradle her chin on my fingers, wiping the juice from her soft lips. What did you say this fruit does? I have no idea. We can find out. Instead of taking a bite from the plum, I flick my tongue to the droplets on my finger. Ilsa watches me do it, and I feel a strange sense of obscenity. I feel my little bird circling above us once more. There's a buzz, almost like an itch, running up my spine, spreading along my shoulder blades. The space between me and Ilsa suddenly feels different. The quilt beneath my hands isn't soft anymore. It itches up through my skin, suddenly rushing through my veins like an embrace. I'm frozen and I need to move. I feel stirrings along my muscles, but it's like my brain doesn't know what to do with them. And somehow, I feel a certainty that Ilsa is experiencing the same. Although how can I know? I can't look her in the eye. The light's changing. The light's changing. Kriemhild won't believe I'm taking this much time. Kriemhild? It's my day to hunt, but it doesn't take me all day. Something isn't right about this, but I already knew that. It's not the face of someone who wants to go home. And I still have what I was too cowardly to give her last night. Ilsa, do you trust me? What? I have here a glamour spell. All you would need to do is wear it like a charm. Can you meet me back here tomorrow before sundown? Tomorrow, isn't that your revel? Yes. She touches me then, just running a finger along the length of my ear, pushing my hair back. It's like I suddenly know every way I want to touch her in return. I want to cover her eyes every time she sees a part of me she ought to be afraid of. I think that I can sneak out. Freshen up the flowers, though? For me? What happens if she's not there, Naira? She didn't seem as certain yesterday. Did you follow her home? How did she seem? What's worse, Naira? Having nobody to talk to but myself? Or talking to a bird? I'm 100% convinced that that bird is the ex. Darla, Daria, it was something with a D. Alright, keep flying with me in silence then. Ilsa? Are you here yet? I picked a fight with Kriemhild, so she'll think I'm sulking in my room. Even if she checks on me an hour from now, what can she do? That's not quite what I had in mind. Now that glamour you showed me yesterday, how does it work? Is it just cosmetic? Before we do that, it's fine if you'd rather not, but I brought something you might want to wear, just in case. Well, yes, that's wise. I shouldn't crawl back through my window wearing clothes all dirtied from dancing. Right, definitely. You can change behind a tree, I suppose. Right. Just a moment, then. Somehow I'm terrified she'll be wise and take this chance to run. It's good to have one more moment without the sight of her shaping every thought of mine. Morgaine, I appreciate the kindness, but I don't know about this dress. Oh, does it not fit? It does. I can hear her inhale from yards away. She steps back into the grove with her fists bunched in her pale skirts and head lowered as I see... Ah. The neckline is lower than even her nightgowns, and the sleeves shorter than any I've seen her wear. lurid violet fades into rings of pink and putress across her collarbone and arms. It's not a revelation anymore, but I didn't see the full of it that night in her cottage. And she did say that she picked a fight with her sister. The glamour, right. To use it, do you mind if I touch you? She hesitates, one more way of reminding me that I only have an idea of what to do. But when she steps forward, I crush the charm between my fingers and bring it to my mouth. With the breath of my intent, I have to trust in my own will. I've only seen Mother make these charms, not how they're actually cast. But it's about seeing what you want to see. I want Ilsa to be unhurt. If she's only enchanted to look like one of the folk, will she still be wounded so easily? I start with her left shoulder. I'd feel less alarmed to have someone lay their hands there, wouldn't I? My hand hovers above it for a long moment. It would be easier if magic could be absorbed that way, through space and will, and no touch was necessary. I hold my breath when my fingers meet her skin, and she exhales as I hold us both in place. Mend. I've watched Mother heal other folk in 100 different ways. The magic wants more than a memory, though. I can't fix Ilsa without feeling her. The alien bumps that rise along her skin. A sense shared between us that I can only describe as a cold heat. These are normal human sensations? I slowly slide my hand down the length of where the bruises cover her arm. I can't cut myself off from this tether, no matter how it tries to seize me. Careful. Some of them are still sensitive. Clearly I'm doing something wrong. I just don't know what. How cruel will I seem, though? Offering her a hope like the Revel, and then failing to give it to her? Maybe you can help me? Help? How would I... It's just an idea, but no, I'm not imagining it. My magic works better when you're involved. I just need you to think about these bruises going away, and about yourself as one of us. Well, I've let it slip that I'm not quite the all-powerful child of gods. What if her disappointment is less for the Revel and just for me? But she lays her hand over where mine still covers one of the larger bruises. Don't erase all of them if it's too much. Focus more on my face or whatever else the glamour is for. It's a bit strange, touching her, but not exactly. Her hand is the one that guides mine up the angles of her face, delicately presses her eyes closed, winding pieces of her hair around my fingers and teasing points out of her ears. I see now what was wrong before. I was afraid to picture her physically in the way this spell needs. It's changing nothing deeper than her flesh, but I still have to shape the glamour around every freckle and mark, where it's slightly paler and where her clothes usually cover it, what's shaped differently in her than is in me. We move more quickly over her chest and finish with a sweep down her right arm that leaves me huffing harder than I thought. Maybe the magic did take some small toll from Ilsa too, for the quickening of her own breath. I didn't let myself look at the picture in progress, more than making sure it was changing, but now... Aw, hell yeah! Part of me sees what I know as Ilsa, but laid over the face I've come to know, She's almost a fairer mirror. Ears the same length and sharpness as mine, and horns. Why horns? Is that an endowment my magic gave her? How do you feel? She touches a hand to her chest, halfway to wincing, and flattens it across the smooth skin when pain never comes. Like someone different. You are tonight, whoever you'd like to be. It's still true. This is all I can give her for now. But if she ever said it out loud... No, not even. Let Kriemhild come hunting in the wood one day and see who greets her. Here, the berries. Oh, I dig this music. With every step closer to the lungs, I wait for fear. Ilsa's barely even following me, though, matching my pace so determined that her fists are bunched back at her sides. She's not afraid. So why should I be either of my own people? I know we're growing close when my wreaths begin appearing, nailed to every second or third tree we pass. I do stop to brush a finger over one's woven stalks, and I feel it, a flutter of response. I can finally take a bit of my magic with everyone else's. The heady crackle of it's already thinning in the air. Or the heady crackle of it is already thickening on the air. It's all that outruns the music. Folk are not idle when it comes to our music. When our magic grows too overwhelming to be contained to a command, the rest blossoms into song. A song is something to be savored, the last suck of marrow from the bone. Its simple strikes now, measured beats. They waver on the air with a promise that I wonder if Ilsa can hear. A call to gather. This isn't my first revel, of course, but it is hers. That sends such a different rush through me that I'll be able to watch her and see. She'll shine. Our hands will stay locked together like this. She'll cling the closest she ever will to magic. Alright. Thank you for preparing me. This would have been too much if you hadn't. You still feel like yourself? Well, of course not. That's what's beautiful. Of formalities. I've seen every one of the folk around us each day for 18 years, and no revel greetings will change how I'm received by them any other day or night. When we first step into the circle that's forming in the lungs, though, I expect every head to turn our way. Who wouldn't wonder how they'd spent every day of eternity not noticing this radiant folk woman dressed in shades of the sunrise? And then I see her. Dahlia, literally glowing from the golden powder speckled over her skin, halts in her conversation with several of her mountain folk kin for just a moment. That bitch, she knows something's up. Her eyes narrow on me and Ilsa before she emptily laughs at a companion's story. We've kept well out of each other's way since... what's more vivid in my memory. The words we said to each other or the failed seduction. Not as if I'm planning on letting Ilsa out of my sight, but... that woman there, in the red dress, you don't want any business with her. More so than any other fae leading me astray into the woods? We have history. I spend so much time on my lonesome in the wood, it's easy to forget what a proper gathering of the folk feels like. Ilsa even compare it to? The largest of crowds she could possibly have been in still wouldn't have anyone with strips of fur down their spines, extra digits to their fingers and toes, cloven hooves, and sharpened talons. The lungs is no small wooded hollow, but anywhere the rising moon's light can break through the trees, 5 folk are practically climbing on top of each other to feel it brightest. The food and wine are already taking their effects. Best not to let everyone else outpace us. Ilsa's sip is as measured and dainty as from my water skin back in the grove. That sliver of Dahlia's attention knocked something in me ajar. When she kissed me, she fell right back into the script of our old dalliances. I need to be in Morgaine that Dahlia can't expect anything from tonight. I barely taste the wine, it goes down my throat so quickly. Mother will have to make an appearance sometime tonight, but it's still too early for her to be forced by duty from the cottage. The folk who lead this first proper dance are among the oldest of the old who remain, and it's not one that wills me to much more than tapping my feet against the grass. I promised Ilsa a night like no other. Not this. There we go. There we go. The next dance is for younger women, beating percussion, quickening, and joining with softly clamoring bells. Follow my lead, you'll learn it like a natural. It does sound a bit like something from home. You look so cute. Yes, it's a dance for young women. So as soon as Ilsa and I join the edge of the crowd, Dahlia does the same. Be careful with this part, the rhythm changes suddenly in the chorus. Then just lift your arms and... I think I'm starting to find it. Connect my hands at the arch. And then back down. Yes! Even when the dance partners switch, I make sure to keep sight of her. But Ilsa is taking to this better than I could have ever expected. The dancers around her fall into her thrall, too charmed by her smile and light feet to think too hard about whether they've actually seen her face before. I knew it, of course, but seeing the picture from my mind take flesh so perfectly. She's charmed them all within 3 choruses. The first human to grace a folk revel in what might be centuries. Dancing, as with the music, also serves a purpose. The full moon makes this year's midsummer even more potent. Combined with the cakes and wine, magic is already starting to slow off folk like an oversized dressing gown. The music quickens again, the lyre picking up from the bells. I'm less sure where the pull of bodies around me is coming from, whether we all move as one, or if this is how the lungs got its nickname, and the wood is what's breathing, trying to gasp us back to our full power. Something tickles the soles of my feet when I bring them up and set them back down. Ilsa catches my arm, and in a surge of selfishness, I pull her closer. Look at the ground! Did I do that? Watching the path of my feet instead of letting the dance carry them is harder than it seems. Ilsa and I stumble together, her shoulder colliding with my chest, but we both look down and then back at each other with equally silly grins. Small patches of flowers are blooming everywhere my feet land. Tomorrow, someone will be able to trace every dance between me and Ilsa. 2 girls lost in the revel, leaving a memory that can only be ours. Song after song after song, Ilsa's breath starts to come heavier, heaving into every step, but she never shows a sign of wanting to stop. She leans into when the harmony of twin fiddles saws its presence through the night, a need so naked that it's spelled clear as any command of magic. And I wish that there was a way that a body could meld into a song, and its sound could be all the flesh and blood it needed. Ilsa... More game? Oh no. They had the little icon before of her with the horns and the beards and stuff, and now don't. Uh-oh. It's not funny, really, but for what felt like a moment there, I started to forget about you. Is it the song? I felt like that I was all that existed in this entire forest. I saved this from yesterday. Do you want to try it again? I couldn't bring myself to finish off the plum Ilsa bit into after her story. I had the sense maybe the timing just wasn't right. Do you think... I don't want to think right now. Do you feel differently? No. We're of exactly the same mind, you and I. The way she bites into the fruit is the same as before. More like watching a wolf tear meat from the bone. I try to match her as I watch her throat swell, my teeth just overlapping the ridge of where hers pierced the plum's flesh. Sweet, then sour. The same effect takes hold faster than before, although I still can't describe what it is. It's like the haze of wild magic swirling around us when the moonlight hits my face and makes me feel like the storm-calling folk of old. Maybe this feeling is infinity, or wanting it. Dance with me, Morgaine. We take hold of each other more fiercely than before, Ilsa's fingertips digging into my wrists. I shift one hand to her waist, tethering us together as the dance pulses around us. That zinging sensation beneath my skin is stronger, like some baser creature is trying to tear out of the prison of my flesh. Maybe it's me. Ilsa really is a quick study. The stamp stomps, swerves, tries to blur your up from down. She holds our gazes together, what feels like a command not to falter. I know that look. What are you trying not to think about? What's right in front of me? Something heavier than understanding enters her eyes. As she presses our bodies closer, her hand cautiously brushes my neck. This isn't the night, or the girl for caution. I want to drink her, open her up, try and know the taste of her secrets. I want every one of the folk in the world to have no illusion of what we are. If she sees all this in me and isn't afraid, I push a strand of her hair back just at that soft brush of fingertip against the shell of her ear. She makes a little gasp of a sound and leans upwards. When our lips first meet, it feels like its own test, having to guarantee some invisible veil won't fall between us and stop human and folk from longing this openly. We pull back from the sheer shock of it, I think. And she gasps again, her breath hot against my lips. Dahlia didn't make fun of how we would kiss, but she always wanted me softer. I tried to take control too quickly. Went right from introduction to needing as much of her as I could bear. So I try to hold back to be... What did Ilsa call me? Who gave me a little thrill? A gentlewoman. She gives way against me, though. No more pretense of keeping any space between us. I lick the last of the plum's juice from her lips and kiss her how I've been famished to. Something happens when her hand cradles the nape of my neck, her fingers teasing the ridge of my spine, and all the world stops except for the music's beating drums. All the shivering sparks I feel from the fruit and the dancing, they collide in my chest, exploding through me. There's something moving beneath the muscles of my back. My body feels so limited, even as I use all of it to grab hold of Ilsa. Does she feel it too? Whatever this magic created as it squirms under my skin? Would she want that too? As I think it, she runs her hand right over the pulse of it, the center of my back right between the blades of my shoulders. I faintly hear a sound like ripping fabric, but wetter. The push of something demanding to grow forth, and then the feeling. A bit of pain, yes, but all at once, something of me is taking up more space. There's a sensation almost like tickling across my chest as well, and I look down as Ilsa gasps and pulls her hand back from it. Feathers. Morgaine, you... Look, over your shoulder. Oh, yeah, no, she got wings. She's not the only one noticing whatever's happened to me. I look. Wings. Half folded behind me, a pair of shining black wings nearly the same height as me. They pull slightly at my back, shifting my posture. New sensations, muscles, nerve endings all suddenly grafted onto my former awareness of my body. I think, flap. They unfurl faster than I realize, and the folk nearest me have to stumble out of their way. More are stopping in their dance as they notice me, but the music keeps going. An odd dissonance. I flex my shoulders back, let the movement carry into the wings, and sure enough, they answer to me. Ilsa, So this is you. One of the Fae. She's right. This is my endowment. The reflection of my magic that manifests for every matured folk. And just like before, I have Ilsa to thank for it finally coming forth. Thank you, Ilsa. Thank you. I can't help it. I kiss her again. More of the folk resume their festivities, giving us a bit more space. I feel a shift, though. Regard is something that changes the air, and that air has never been so light. In every sense, this is where I belong. Morgaine? Fuck, her mom's here now. Mother? I haven't even thought about, well, I've had more reasons than usual recently to avoid Mother. Speaking of which... Ilsa's already made herself scarce. And why wouldn't she? This is the horned queen of her childhood nightmares. And she just heard me call her mother. You've come into your own, I see. Yes. It hasn't been for long, but you ought to have told me that you had accessed your magic. I was going to help you when you did. She actually looks upset. Is it that black and white in her mind? Holding her daughter at arm's length for years over something I couldn't even control, and now everything is just supposed to be fine? And now everyone around us is stopping with Mother's arrival. She's supposed to sing the most important part of the enchantments, say some words about maintaining the peace, but is my part the dutiful apprentice now? Funny. Just a handful of weeks ago, I would have longed for that. I've managed on my own so far. Yes, I see that. Even so, our power requires a firm hand. Someone who understands... No, that sounds like... I'm not really thinking as I spread my new wings again, but alarm turns a running start towards that sound into me lifting off the ground. It's far from graceful, but it carries me above the panic that starts. I'm the first one to make it to her, and I see Ilsa standing upright with wide eyes. There's blood. The bodice of her dress is drenched in it, and I can hear how frantically her heart is pumping, but there's no sound coming from her. What's she holding in her hand? Morgaine, Wait! She flees back into the wood before I can reach for her. When I move to follow her, my foot knocks into... Oh. Oh no. Dahlia? She's not screaming anymore, but even lying curled up on the ground, I see how much blood she's covered in. Her hands are clamped over her face, and what little sound she's making now can barely even be called whimpers. There's something other than blood on what I can see on her face. It looks paler, thicker. Morgaine, what is it? Move aside. Mother, I know her. Let me help. Wait, there's something sticking out from between Dahlia's fingers. It looks like... Morgaine, do you have any empty collecting vials in your bag right now? What? Vials? I think so. I need 2 of them. Don't just stand there. If you want to help her, it needs to be now. Whoever put her eye out did so with an old human weapon. Daggers like these were only forged for the purpose of killing folk. Her eye? She left her dagger behind. What that was, Ilsa was... This has to be a misunderstanding, somehow. Maybe Dahlia got jealous and Ilsa overreacted, or... You can't just stand there in times like this if you want your magic to be of any use. The vials, now. Yes, Mother. Watch carefully and hope that you never have to use this sort of spell yourself. Mother? How many times has she done this before to stay so calm? She crushes some sort of flower. From the glimpse I see of red and white, I think it's anemone petals. Then she slices open the pad of her thumb on the tip of her horn and bleeds it into 2 small vials that clatter together in my shaking hands as I offer them to her. But when she takes out a smaller knife of her own and brings it to Dahlia's arm... No, don't hurt her any further! I'm not. This is our only chance at sparing her life. Is Dahlia even still breathing? There, a little bit, but Mother is right. She doesn't have much longer. She does the same thing with Dahlia's blood into the vials, but before sealing either of them, she... Don't look so horrified. Blood magic is unpleasant by design. And with that, she swallows a sip of what precious little blood Dahlia has left. When she drips the second vial of their combined blood into Dahlia's mouth, I can't stomach it. As I told you, Morgaine, pray that you never have to wield more than flowers. This is wartime magic. The slumber that it puts her into isn't meant for longer than a few days, but it will suspend her in this state long enough for me to properly heal her without worsening the damage. Only I can wake her up by drinking the rest of the blood, or someone else could make her do the same if I somehow waylaid my vial. Now, did you see her attacked her? A human shouldn't have made it this deep into the wood on their own, but I'm loath to suspect a kinfolk. No, They were already running off by the time I got here. I have to... There's some explanation for this that I just haven't figured out yet. The Ilsa I know, she wouldn't do this. Her hand was forced somehow, I know it. But that look in her eyes, and why would she have a dagger that's only purpose is... In all the times we've met, she's never hurt me. There has to be something I'm not understanding, or... Was Ilsa planning this all along? I should not have done this, Naira. There's not a single reason I should be waiting at this edge of the wood, hoping Mother believed that I'm just gathering plants we'll need to try and save Dahlia's... Gathering plants. The same excuse I used every time I snuck out to visit Ilsa. Helpless in... what? Loneliness? Love? Feels like I shouldn't even be thinking that right now, but... When I told myself that I wanted her secrets, this isn't one I would have expected. What's even my plan here, Naira? Corner her when she comes outside again? Break in and demand Dahlia's eye? I can't get what was left of it. Not even... Whoever pictures that being all that makes up an eye. Mother made me clean her face before I slipped off. Breathe. Damn it. Breathe. My answer's the same as it was an hour ago, Ilsa. We're not leaving. Aren't you always telling me how I'm a child? How else should I describe the way you're acting, Kriemhild? Do you think this was easy for me? What sort of sister does what you've done? Lying to her own family, taking their rightful chances. It seems that was all easy enough for you. It's not as if you had made your move in 6 months. I found a Fae and claimed a trophy in just a few weeks, so maybe I deserve the throne. Did you see it that way? Oh no. Oh no, Ilsa. What? The throne? Surely with nothing more than your girlish wiles and sheer luck, and not any of the notes and research you've spent years spying on over my shoulder. No, it wasn't like that. Ilsa, what exactly did you do? Well, what was all the combat training you were giving me for if I wasn't meant to use it? Ilsa, no. Any young woman, let alone a princess, should be able to defend herself, especially when the younger's role is to be married off to some stranger for the sake of an alliance. The test that Father gave you was to kill a Fae and bring back proof, so I don't see why you're so upset that I managed it first when you're the one who insisted on bringing me along. Do you really think that being 2 years older automatically means you deserve to be queen more? I deserve it because I've spent half of your life being mother. And it only makes all those years fair if I can finally have her other title. Well, I'm sorry for destroying your life that much, and I suppose you'll just think of this as one more way. The sound cuts her off, and one I don't want to admit that I've imagined. Short, sharp, the precise strike of a hand shot out before the person making the strike even realizes what they're doing. You've been waiting a long time. You've been wanting to do that for a long time, haven't you? So then are the bruises just from combat training? And she wasn't actually being abused? That's... I was hoping that the toxic relationship part was just, you know, Dahlia. Ilsa, Wait, Ilsa, I'm sorry. Footsteps rushed towards me, and I realized I'd moved like I was going to throw the front door open. It's the same camouflage spell that I use when Ilsa flings it open instead, cradling one hand to her reddened cheek and looking as devastated as I've felt since last night. She sinks to her knees right there in the grass and gives a closed mouth a wail that makes every bit of magic within me sing to comfort her. But she's devastated. About what? Lying to me? Or her sister? And look at her like this. Still the girl I held in my arms and kissed hard enough to transform into something new. And someone who I realize I don't know at all. I feel... Morgaine? Are you here? I want to go to her. I can't. Dahlia? Can I talk to you? Look at you. I never thought that I'd be better off than you. You're here, stuck under that spell Mother cast on you. And would you know, it's terrible for me too. I don't know what happened that ended with you like this. You're asleep. You shouldn't look like that. No, I do know. I wasn't looking out enough, and now you're like this, and Ilsa... You couldn't leave well enough alone, could you? You never could. Was it seeing her, or me? She's no different from how I was back then, really. I was surprised when you stayed my friend even after you fully changed. But that was what really bonded us, wasn't it? The first time that we kissed, it was more than what I thought one of the folk would do. It was your first time too, wasn't it? You were so confident, and I just missed every signal, overlooked by every little touch until you had to grab my face that night up in the pine tree and kiss me. Well, no, I don't think that's true. I let you think that I was so naive. When I realized maybe we could be something more, I liked your attention. I felt how your eyes followed me everywhere we went. I knew it made you feel so hopeless when I ignored your hand brushing mine, when I laughed off your flirting. I'd never had that before. Someone who wanted me. I'd never been a person who could decide how much to give to someone. I wanted you too, I really did, but the folk have always loved you. The first changeling in decades, and you changed so well. Do you know how it feels to realize you have power for the first time in your life, and over someone who's everything you're supposed to be? I was stupid, I know. Saying it out loud, I feel... Well, I do know what I was thinking. Couldn't even explain myself to you without you having to be half dead in front of me first. I'm being a real coward now, Dahlia. This is what that actually sounds like from me. But when I did decide to love and be loved, I didn't realize how badly I'd hurt myself, denying you like that. You wanted me so much by that point. I fell completely into you. I would go for walks in the wood at any time of day or night, and just suddenly think there's someone in this world who loves me. I always had to be by your side, so I could remember that. It's no wonder you stopped liking what you saw once I reached that point. thought after you ended things, so that's love. I was fine with learning that from you. I didn't trust myself not to do the same things all over again if another girl somehow looked my way. Was that what really bothered you about Ilsa? Because with her, I'm more confused. Of course I thought she was beautiful. I can't say there weren't signs. Oh no, I did do it all again, didn't I? But I couldn't have guessed. Well, I'm sorry about your eye. I don't know what that was. I saw her with that dagger before, and I didn't know. She never tried to hurt me. That I know of. I can't bear it, Dahlia. If there's no way that I can have love without someone getting hurt, it means all the folk have always been right about me. That I'm just wrong. But you do deserve to know. I met a human girl on the boundary in the wood. Maybe you were right, and some part of me was beguiling her all along. I found my magic and used it to sneak her into our most sacred festival. And within minutes of me realizing that maybe I love her, she tried to kill you with a weapon of our worst enemies. Which makes this my fault, really. You wouldn't be sleeping halfway towards death if I hadn't started wanting. Is that so? I fucking knew the mom was gonna hear all that. I knew it. Mother? I'm not a fool, Morgaine. I knew about the human girl. I smelled her on you the day you first met her. Oh, I just realized one of her horns is, broken. I just didn't think you'd be rash enough to bring her all the way into our fold. Mother, I can explain. Can you? I believe that I just heard the most honest version. You may have those wings on your back, Morgaine, but I knew you were still a child. I could only warn you in words so much. I thought, let it all happen again, and she'll learn as I did. Though I admit this was a higher cost than I hoped to pay. As you did? There's one more story for you to hear, and hear it you will. Do you know what it really takes to bring down a god? The god must open their arms to weakness. Hunger, some call it, as if it's so simple a craving. When it happened to me, I called it love. Ike was curious, not like the humans that had been described to me, or any I'd danced with at a revel. We carried on for nearly a year, long enough for me to believe that I knew her. She never told me of her lost family and loved ones. I didn't guess at all to her vengefulness until I woke by her side one evening to her trying to saw my horn from my head. Some human superstition, I believe, that if you steal something from a folk's body, it will grant you their power. I was more than humiliated. If the folk were ever to learn of the role that I played in our downfall, in a sense, I did give Ike a power. She forged the first of those accursed daggers from that stolen fragment of my horn. Certainly, I would exile from these lands any of our kind whose betrayal was so complete. So yes, I know what it is to love a human. All the muck and mire that's darkening your heart right now, it always ends this way. I had planned to step in and deal with her myself when she inevitably turned on you, but... Stop talking. I understand. It's not the picture I've ever presented of myself to you before. You think that's... You absolute hypocrite! What could there possibly be for you to teach me? There's nothing I want to learn from someone who sets their child up to be sacrificed just to teach them a lesson. I cannot deny that a fair description of my actions, however... That's fair? That's all you have to say? What about I could have done anything differently? If you're truly all about history repeating itself, then you know? I think Dahlia was nearly killed because of the same empty belief that your Ike had. Something that could have been cleared up long ago if you hadn't insisted on keeping the folk isolated. She's done far more wrong than I have. She's right. She doesn't deserve to call any of this realm home. Yet I'm the one who can't get far enough away from her. I don't care where I go. There's nothing left for me at all in the wood. Maybe I'll fly west to the mountains, or see for myself how far the ocean stretches. See if I keep making the same mistakes somewhere there's no folk at all. Naira, where have you... What's that you're holding in your talons? Flowers? But that doesn't look like a bouquet. Oh. They're far from full bloom. How long ago did Ilsa and I make this crown? What was she planning even then? But she's the only one who could have sent this back to me. It has to mean something. Ah, something is tucked between two of the strands. A note? Morgaine, please let me explain. Meet me in the grove this evening. No weapons, no magic. I meant as much of what I said to you that night as I thought that I could. If you can believe that, please come. Mother was betrayed and chose war, isolation. I'm not her. I won't be. I've still got some of Ilsa's flowers in my hair. Naira, fly these back to her, please. I'm coming for you one more time, Ilsa. Please. Please have a reason that gives this all a purpose. I'm here, Ilsa. If you are too, please just show yourself. Ilsa? Oh, Morgaine. Ilsa, where are you? Morgaine, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't see her at first. She's standing halfway in the trees and hanging her head down. She asked me to come here, but could she not even stand the sight of me? Except it looks like there's something in her hands. Something dark. Creamhild made me do it. I only thought it right to bring her back to you. Her hands cradle Naira's limp body, and when I move closer, I can see that my friend's head is snapped at an unnatural angle. Some phantom sensation prickles down my spine through my wings. I used them to partially fly here, but they're still so new. Why didn't I realize how similar they look to Naira's? Kriemhild made her do it, she says. But can I believe that any more than... Give her back to me. Go on, then. Explain whatever you want. You didn't make the greatest entrance. Alright, well, there's no easy way to say it. Kriemhild and I aren't any two ordinary humans. Our father is the king. So I've been swooning over royalty this entire time. I overheard Kriemhild call her a princess, but he's obsessed with the Fae and your magic. When I was born, he even meant to offer me up as a changeling, but my mother died giving birth to me. She made him swear that he would raise me and Kriemhild as ordinary sisters. I don't know when exactly he started to plan it, but several months ago he told Kriemhild that if she wanted to succeed him on the throne, he had come up with a task for her. She needed to venture into this forest, the last domain of the once mighty Fae, and bring him back proof that she had met and bested one of you. I don't know why she wanted for me to come along. Our relationship was better when we were younger, until around when I was 9 or 10, and then something changed about her. Maybe I seemed less of a child by then. She's always treated me like a sister, but she'd kept me at arm's length for years by that point. I said that I would go with her, in part because I missed her company, but also because, well, a kingdom only has so many uses for a spare heir. I'm 18, and I hold no illusions about my father's plans for me. My mother was a countess from a land north of here, and I can serve just as much a return on some other alliance. But I don't want that. I want love. When we arrived at the cottage, Kriemhild took after our father quite well. She pored over centuries of journals and accounts of the Fae. She said she needed to plan her course of action down to the last detail. Except 1 month turned into 2, then 3. I almost got the sense that she was stalling. Even though one thing I've never known her to have is nerves. And then I had a thought. Father issued the task to Kriemhild, but if I could alter my fate, if I somehow... But what about your bruises? You don't have to defend Kriemhild anymore just because she's your sister. All of them from her training me to fight. She's a harsh teacher, pragmatic to a fault, but not cruel. Betraying her would have been much easier if she were cruel. Yet you still did. You don't understand. You're going to live forever. You have magic. You literally have wings. Me? I play research assistant in the forest for a few months, watch my sister hesitate at the thought of ruling an entire realm, and then have a lifetime to look forward of being married off to some strange duke or princess? Acting before Kriemhild could is the closest chance I've ever had in my life to saying no to that. And what was I then? How long were you batting your eyes at me while planning how you would slit my throat? Did you ever consider I could have helped you? How, Morgaine? Please tell me how. I'm too old now to be a changeling. Was your plan to have been to keep casting that glamour on me every single night and hope nobody ever realized I was a strange face or wondered why I didn't use any magic of my own? Face it, Morgaine. There is no world for feelings like ours. And you don't know what cruelness you showed me, making me hope that there might be one. So that's it. We shared a few kisses, went against every rule and instinct that's been pounded into our manners, and now we just leave it all here? Take it from someone who ruined her own first love, Ilsa. If any of this was real for you, you're going to spend the rest of your life remembering this grove and these words we are saying now. And every time you do, you're going to be the Ilsa that you are now all over again, screaming at her from the other side of whatever choice you think you're making to choose something else. Creamhill told me something else too, after we fought over what I'd done. She said there's a way that I can make it right for the both of us. Both of us? What can that possibly mean? I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. Monsters. Monsters. I don't see whatever shoots out of the growth until the intrusion of something in my body that shouldn't be. A tug on my shoulder, except it's more like it's connected to my shoulder. And it's only when I try to flex my wings that pain erupts. All that talk about how much I hesitate, but it matters once the crossbow is in your hands. That's enough talking things out, Ilsa, and don't go begging me for any more time. Whatever she shot through my wing, I'm pinned to the tree Ilsa got me in front of. It's no pain like I've ever felt before. The wing almost feels disconnected from the rest of me, until I try to pull free again, and every bit of skin and muscle and bone that's been pierced through howls, trying to heal itself around the object and failing. And I squirm, and then spasm more when that widens the entry room. Wet warmth trickles down my wing, clumping through the feathers in its path. I try to lay my hand on the tree trunk and breathe, but no. It's like before, when I was completely powerless. Pain is supposed to be a felt sense, but this thing that's torn through my skin and split apart muscle is stealing my hearing, my sight. It's through a haze of screaming nerve endings that I see Kriemhild press a familiar dagger into Ilsa's hand. Take all the time you need. That crossbow bolt is made of the same stuff as this dagger. Go on, Ilsa, just like we decided. 2 trophies for that dear old father of ours, and then we share the throne. Oh, bullshit, she's not gonna share the throne. Kriemhild, I just think I already took my trophy. Shouldn't you be the one to... Even after our heart-to-heart, you still don't understand the lesson here, Ilsa? I try and thrash again as she takes the hand of Ilsa's that's holding the dagger and jerks it up to the level of my throat. The pain is only getting worse, the rest of my body responding to a delayed call of alarm now. There's a sense that one of us knows very well, and one of us has been sheltered enough to never know. It's your turn to look someone you love in the eyes and decide to lose a bit of yourself over them. I don't want to do this again, Kriemhild. No! Markine, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But then, that sense Ilsa described heralding me all those times we met, I feel it this time. Within an instant, a sound builds through the wood, rising like a clamor of out-of-tune birdsong into a roar. The tree I'm pinned to rattles and my body with it, another wave of pain tearing through my wing. I feel the eyes of the oldest trees lining me in their sights, and I am nothing. It's all the announcing that Mother gives herself. The wood exhales her in a great gasp, and with a stride towards us and a swipe of the claws lengthening from her hand. Ah. Ilsa! No! She's already falling. as she tries to bring her hand to the gouges Mother carved into her neck. I move and try to catch her. The joint that connects my wing to my body screams, and this time I hear some internal part of me squelch against the crossbow bolt that pierced through it. I jerk against it again, though, trying to stretch my hand to Ilsa. If I'm free of this bolt, I can use my magic again. I can save her. Devastation, it turns out, feels a lot like a wing being ripped from my back. Through the keening in my ears, the sound of it is almost like ripping fabric. Every determined pull to peel flesh from flesh and tendon from meat. It doesn't come off all the way. The mangled weight of it slumps from me, pulling me down sideways as I fall towards Ilsa and... Morgaine! You killed my sister! Ilsa! All the hundreds of humans you've killed, and you had to have my sister. If Mother weren't right in front of me, I don't think I would see it for the pain. The first bolt takes her in the thigh, but even that doesn't stop her. She lunges for Kriemhild like she did at Ilsa, and the second bolt tears through her chest. Something twinges in my breast, maybe sympathy. She's finally feeling the same hurt as me. Her hands even go to try and pull it out as she slowly sinks to her knees. It's not until the cushioned thud of her legs hitting the ground that a dark shape which can only be Kriemhild moves closer to her. Hey, Ilsa. Mother is gasping something out even now, though I think it's to Kriemhild. Coming all the way here to save her hopeless daughter, and then only having words for her would-be murderer. I guess she and Kriemhild speak violence better than me, though. At least we're going to die in this grove, right? We won't ever have to wonder what happened to the other. It's us, in this place, right until the end. Oddly, I don't feel it when Mother dies. Or maybe she hasn't yet when the sawing noise starts. I keep my face pressed to the sweet-smelling red and white flowers it's fallen against, until I hear the crack of her horn breaking loose. Until I hear Kriemhild exhale, and then make a sound that's barely anything at all. Something that withers and dies halfway out of her throat, and then her footsteps turning and running away. Heaving myself through the flower separating us, I make it to where Ilsa fell. Blood is still spurting from her neck, but she's drenched in it already as Dahlia was. She tries to say something to me, but it's all right. I know. And I think I mean that I'm content with this. Let whatever is left of the folk find their leader and her daughter dead at the edge of the wood, with a human girl lying between them. Let whatever history comes from it guess to this moment, however it will. I shift onto my side to press Ilsa's body to mine before I close my eyes and... Through the all-consuming pain from my crippled wing, a small pressure at my hip lights through. That's right. I have all my gathering supplies with me. The same supplies I had on me at the revel. And those flowers that I just dragged myself through, whose petals scraped off all over me. Red and white. It's like they bloomed as soon as I was free of the crossbow bolt, when my magic was unblocked and my hands cushioned my fall. Hold on just a little longer, Ilsa. I roll onto my back, nearly screaming when the half stump of my wing folds even more unnaturally over itself. But a scream might draw Kriemhild back to finish the job she thinks is already done. My hand rummages through all the pouches and pockets at my hip, long enough for me to think maybe I just made a prayer out of some stray pebble when I feel the tempered glass of my vials. What did Mother do next? as she hovered over Dahlia. I brush as many anemone petals from my clothes onto my other hand as I can, mashing them in between my blood-soaked fingers. Half the pulpy powder it creates into one vial, half into the other. At least there's no shortage of blood. And yet, some repulsion still stops me when I know what has to come next. When I take the vial from the weakening trickle from Ilsa's neck and try to bring it to my mouth. Mother was right about this magic. I barely know what I'm doing, and it feels uglier than anything else I've worked. Ilsa and Kriemhild's sobs playing amplified in my head while I pictured the pale arch of her throat opening beneath Mother's claws over and over again. I press a kiss to her wound first, and then turn her head enough to kiss her properly. I think she tries to help me. There. Now history's made puppets of us both. And I choke her blood down as I feel her heartbeat start to fade. It feels like a block of ice melting in my core, the insistent agony of my wing reaching a new level of fever pitch, only dwarfed by the growing cold that is Ilsa's little remaining life flashing through me. I writhe through the ruins of our garden, my back arching as I try to find any way of easing the pain. This time someone fails to not cry out, though I'm beyond telling whether it's me or Ilsa, making one last grasp towards life. Either way, when I bring my blood to her lips, she knows what to do. The connection between us snaps tight. I'm responsible for it. I have to be. And I try to breathe for both of us, to guide her suddenly, violently shuddering body to somewhere a little less close to death. Her breathing picks back up, a moment of her lungs working double time. Her eyes flutter shut, and her head lolls against the grass with a laughing gentleness. But I've done it, and I can feel like I've opened up her chest and put my beating heart right beside hers. She's only asleep. If I was asked, how would I even tell our story? Once upon a time, No. That just feels wrong. I've tried not to think too long on it for a long time. Well, Ilsa, perhaps I should start with right after. It's never felt right, hiding you away in the bedroom I never use. But it was the only place that I could in those first days, where none of the folk would dare go looking for answers, or vengeance. Will it ever stop being strange, thinking myself as the last of the folk, even if it was a choice of mine to wear the mantle? The rest of us departed for parts unknown to me, at least. I asked Dahlia not to tell me where, so that I wouldn't be tempted to follow. I think because we owed each other a debt, she didn't question my reasonings. It's for the better that someone stayed behind, anyhow. Too much old magic sunken into the trees, and when it gets its hands on you humans, all sorts of odd things can happen with a custodian for it. Those refugees who came from the south last month might be putting down roots here. It's a whole standing village, after all. I can't say it won't be strange, watching the lungs breathe again. There's a child among them, a year or two younger than when we were when we met, I would say. She seeks me out. I can't say I don't appreciate her company. I think she's trying to put in good words for me with the rest of her people. The optimism of youth. I'd forgotten how it felt. Do you even hear me at all when I go on and on to you like this? I remember something Dahlia told me about while she was under the sleeping spell. That she wasn't quite there in the way that you feel time when you're awake, but anyone who talked around her or to her were the intervals of dreams. And yes, there is some significance of the date today. 56 years that sister of yours took the human throne in the north. I don't know if maybe Mother's Horn did hold some magic that's extended her lifespan this long, or if she's just that lucky. Or unlucky, perhaps. I've felt every one of the years since that night of the grove. I have to wonder how she does. Whatever Mother's final curse to her was. I'm sorry for a lot of things about this, Ilsa. Another year when I thought I'd have woken you up by now. But for as long as Kriemhild is alive and on the throne, she has to think that we've both died with Mother. If she ever heard word that I remained, or that you were at my side... Besides, that child... Have you ever heard what she calls me? A guardian. And what kind of guardian would let her charges be trampled on by some princess retrieval squadron sent by the infamous Queen Kriemhild? And I'm sorry that I haven't touched you in all these years. It's not how I want to think of you, holding your limp hand or leaning over lips that barely pass breath between them. It's knowing that I've always been here standing watch enough? One day, Ilsa. Soon, I can feel it. When the world that the cruelty of my careless love made you hope for has finally taken shape. When that last reminder of the boundaries dividing folk and humanity is no more than a faint memory, and that all we are is Morgaine and Ilsa. I couldn't stand to hurt you anymore by bringing you back before then. I once thought, like all the folk, that we don't dream how humans do. But that's what I picture every time my mind wanders, or just when I close my eyes like now. I don't desire for anything more than to laugh with you in a field of flowers again, and sing nothing but songs of love that don't end in despair. I'm sorry, Ilsa, but can you sleep for just a few more days? Can you sleep and dream of all my love? On wings bringing sleep. This was very good. Fey consultation by Federico. That's cute. In the U.S. Bureau of Land Management? Huh. Thank you for reading this tragic tale. We hope to one day return to Morgaine and Ilsa and to tell even more of their story. But until then, sleep well. Oh, Jess, hi. Thank you so much for the raid. We literally just finished our story. Perfect timing. We love women. Yeah, it was a very tragic story, actually. It was really sad. Yeah, it's yeah, it was a lot. The VOD will be up shortly after stream. If you guys want to take a look at what it was like, if you like tragic stories. I'm gonna be thinking about this one for a while. But yeah, how was Alan Wake 2? Hope you had a good time. Did a Night Springs episode and it was weird. Isn't it like he's kind of stuck in a loop right now? I don't actually know. I got interrupted by the main story to play through an episode of Night Springs. Ah, okay. Well, I still have to play the first one and Control, and then there'll be the second one, and then there's Control 2 when that eventually comes out. Do you know there's another game that's a part of it? It's where Mr. Door comes from. I can't remember. It's like Quantum Break or something. Yeah, it's another Remedy game. But like, and previously no one thought it was connected, but like, apparently that's where Mr. Door came from in the first place. But yeah, this one was a lot for me, so I really need to go decompress. So we're gonna go raid into someone from the science team named Lara, who is really cool. If y'all don't know the science team, you're about to meet some of them. One of them is also my BFF Tag, who I've known for almost 20 years IRL. Quantum Break? Okay, I was right, yeah. But yeah, apparently that's where Mr. Door comes from. But yeah, we're gonna raid into Lara, and then there will be next stream is gonna be Friday on Tag's channel, and we will be playing more Final Fantasy XIV. So hopefully I will see y'all there. But until then, hope y'all have a good night, and raid message? Oh man, I don't even know what the raid message is. Tragic Yuri. With the little crying emote thing. No, raid message is Tragic Yuri. Alright, I will catch y'all on Friday on Tag's channel, and then the next stream here will be on Saturday for more Hollow Knight. But until then, have a good night, everybody.